I mean, in the Gospels and in Christ, he doesn't speak that much about, the dinners. He says, carry your cross and follow me. But it's like, carry your life's mission and follow me. This has come much later, and it's come much later in Catholicism. It's not as sharp in Orthodoxy or in the Gnostic Christianity, or I mean, also for me, this is one of the parts, like I love many, many aspects about the Catholic Church and the Catholic saints, but this is something that I don't connect to the necessity of suffering. You see, essentially, for spirituality to work, there is a necessity of intensity. Yeah, and then the intensity of experience is polarized by great consciousness, and that creates spiritual power. And in the absence of the intensity of pleasure, of joy, of all that, that was somehow the intensity that they found. And then they would just suffer a lot and alchemize that suffering. And the whole denying of the erotic life and so forth, whereas there's a lot of texts that say Christ had an erotic life. Again, there is a dispute. It's not, I cannot take side, I'm not a scholar, but there's a lot of texts like Pistis Sophia, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, like the Gospel of Philip, where he kisses Mary Magdalene many times on her, and there's a word missing. It's one of the most lips, one of the most annoying, how it's called? There's a name for that. When there's a word missing.
Blank spaces?
Yeah, but there's like a professional name. In any case, the denial and so forth, it started very early. So 2nd century, the stories of the disciples and the Gospel of Peter and so forth, it started very much about denying this world and denying the erotic life and so forth. And then in the absence of having a positive and a joyous intensity, the emphasis was put there, which, okay, it works, and some people can get enlightened like that, but I don't find that path very appealing. But there is not many quotes that says, oh, you need to suffer in order to be my disciple, and all my path is to, no, you see, my yoke is light, and he brings peace. And there isn't in the 9 Beatitudes, blessed are those who are mourn, because there is a longing. You mourn and you long for something, and you should be comforted. But it's not blessed are those who are suffering uselessly or something. I didn't see it there. Yeah.
I have a little bit of a maybe complementary take, I hope. There's a lot of, Catholicism in general gets quite a bad rap. And when you actually look deeper into the teachings, you will find that it's not at all far from what we are doing here. There are some things that are significantly different, but they actually don't have much to do neither with eroticism nor with suffering, but they have rather to do with things like reincarnation and stuff like that. Like there's some things in the theology that is like for a Christian would be heresy to say that you get reborn and stuff like that. But when it comes to, for example, the Eros, that's a concept in the Catholic Church. And when you actually go into, these kind of documents, they're usually written in Latin, so people don't read them. When some pope writes something about Eros in Latin, it's like, you'll never hear about it. But there are, official documents that talk about this, that talk about the importance of sexuality, that talk about the importance of aligning the sexuality towards the Eros. It's the same like we talk about. Of course, it's within the context of marriage. Okay, yeah, no, that's such a huge difference. I don't see how that is such a huge difference, right? So I feel always important, and for me it was quite shocking to see that I grew up within the Christian cultural context, and I knew so little about what the actual teachings are, like the real theology, what the whole system actually teaches is very, very different from also what the average Catholic person knows, And so I was quite shocked, and I thought about it a lot, that actually it's very much worthwhile for any religion or philosophy or spiritual path that has some kind of genuine outcome, so people get enlightened through it. It's very worthwhile to dig deeper and to understand that we only ever kind of scratched the surface, because God laid out the path for people to find him, and for Hinduism like this, for Buddhism like this, for this there, for this there, for this there. Okay, whatever. you pick the one that you like and then you go all the way, and it will for sure lead there. And then in terms of suffering, so in Catholicism, you also don't find a lot about this. It's the main teaching is pick up your cross and follow me, which basically means get your act together, do your dharma, and stop whining, right? That's what that basically means. That's not so different from do your tapas, you know? It's like the morality of all these kinds of systems seems to be very, very, very similar each and every time, just expressed a little bit differently. So I find it's, you know, it's not about you must suffer to find God, but it's like, well, you know, life has pain in it, and quite a bit. And if you try to wiggle around that, you will not live the fullness of life, but much rather discover God in the suffering. You know, that's the same in Tantra as it is in Christianity.
Mhm.
So
If you like this video and want to learn more about Tantra, about yoga, about psychology, emotional healing, lives of saints, and the scriptures,
then hit the bell, like, subscribe, and you'll never miss an upload. Thank you so much.